Hello everybody, this is Hanif Muhammad here. Welcome to my review for Spider-Man on the PlayStation 4.
Spider-Man, Spider-Man, does whatever a spider can. Spins a web any size, catches thieves just like flies. Look out, here comes the Spider-Man.
Let me start this review by saying I'm a huge Spider-Man fan. He's probably my second favorite superhero, right behind Batman. I love, of all the Marvel and DC heroes, I feel like Spider-Man has the most unique powers out of all the characters. Spider-Man is unique, interesting. Peter Parker is one of the most likable and relatable sort of characters in all of comics. He's a character that is, is the message of the story, so universal. With great power comes great responsibility. His backstory, his motivation, his love life, his entanglements with the various villains of the Marvel Universe. It's all classic, and it's all immensely enjoyable. I'm a huge fan of both the Spider-Man movies and the cartoons, as well as the video games. I played several of the games. Most of the major ones I played. So I played the games based on the Tobey Maguire movies by Sam Raimi. I played that's Spider-Man 1, Spider-Man 2, and Spider-Man 3. I spent a heck of a lot of time with Spider-Man 2. Like, as a kid, I spent so much time with that game. And I played Ultimate Spider-Man. I clocked in a lot of hours with Ultimate Spider-Man. Ultimate Spider-Man was my game back in the day. I also played Spider-Man Web of Shadows, as well as The Amazing Spider-Man 1. So I have a very particular history with the character. The character means a lot to me. As such, like most Spider-Man fans, I was hyped for this game. The trailers, all of it looked epic. This new game is made by Insomniac Games, who I'm a fan of because I love the original Spyro trilogy. Spyro 1, 2, and 3 were also some of my childhood games I loved. And as such, I figured that Spider-Man would be in good hands with this new game. I still have more to explore, more to discover. Everybody else, the game's only been out for a week now or 2 weeks. It's barely been out, but already the reviews are coming in. Already people are already talking about it. It's already selling like crazy, and so there isn't much I can say now. Even now, there's much I can say that has already been said about the game. But let me just say this. I'm also a big fan of superhero games. Now sometimes superhero games get a bad rap, especially the superhero games based on movies. Sometimes they get a bad rap. People would rather play something like Call of Duty or Halo. Those are the popular games or Fortnite, the games everybody's playing. But me, I've always been into superhero games a lot, just like the movies, and even some of the mediocre ones I can play, and I can, even the simple beat 'em up games, I can enjoy them. But there's a select few superhero games I feel like that can stand the test of time, that are classics in their own right, like the movies, that are state of the art, epic video game experiences with fantastic production value, with amazing presentation and story, and with addictive, well balanced, in-depth gameplay. Those 4 games for me being, first of all, the Batman Arkham trilogy, Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, and Arkham Knight, and also Marvel Ultimate Alliance, a game I've played many times before, from beginning to end, and also The Incredible Hulk Ultimate Destruction, one of the most fun experiences I've had. I need to add a 5th game to that list, and that is Marvel's Spider-Man by Insomniac for the PlayStation 4 exclusively. This game is absolutely magnificent. I You know, I was skeptical at first because, like I said, I played several Spider-Man games before this. The best being Spider-Man 2. Before this, the best Spider-Man game was Spider-Man 2 and Ultimate Spider-Man. Those are both, a lot of fun. The worst being Spider-Man 3. That game was pretty bad, just like the movie. It's pretty boring. But I've enjoyed most of the Spider-Man games, I would say. And that's how this part of me is like, okay, well, there's already been so many Spider-Man games. You know, he's had probably more like bigger games than probably any other superhero. And so I'm like, can this game really be any different? It's like it's gonna be the same thing, and in a lot of ways it is. It is the same type of. If you play Spider-Man 2 or Ultimate Spider-Man or The Amazing Spider-Man, it is a very similar formula to those games. But man, it's taken to a whole nother level. Does it really perfect that formula? And does it really in terms of story and presentation, takes it to a whole nother level and immerses you into the action. Xbox users are really missing out on this game. I wish, in fact, I love this game so much, I wish it was multi-platform and that they could experience it on Xbox or PC. Because this game is really a delight, a present, one of the greatest presents for PlayStation users, for users like myself who are, I'm PlayStation, I'm Team PlayStation for life, and I'm so thankful that I got to experience this game firsthand, and really experience the story without getting any major spoilers, of which there will be in this review, because there's so much I want to discuss, so much I want to talk about when it comes to the story. But I'm glad I got to experience the game and the story, the gameplay, and the overall immersive feeling of it all firsthand. This is a very special game, and it's a game that really can compare with any other superhero game that's out there. I have a soft spot for the Arkham games because I'm a huge fan of Batman. So it's really comparing them to that is like apples and oranges, really. But definitely when compared to the other Spider-Man games, this is leaps and bounds beyond anything that almost anything that they've ever done. Even Spider-Man 2, as much as I have a lot of nostalgia for that game, as much as I love that game, now everything about the game is aged super well. There's a lot about that game that's really dated. That's there was improvement. There was room for improvement. As much as I love that game, I really love Spider-Man 2. I spent a lot of time with it as a kid, but this game really brings something. Brings a whole lot more polish to the gameplay, a lot more finesse, and Insomniac really knew what they were doing when they made this, and based on the sales and their critical scores, most people agree with that. So let's start off with the story. The story in this game is pretty unbelievable. I wasn't really expecting. I went to stay with some spoilers because I didn't know what to expect. I mean, I saw some of the trailers. I knew that there was a new villain. Not really a new villain, but a very unpopular villain that was being showcased in the trailers. An Asian man by the name of Martin Lee, his alias being Mr. Negative. And so, yeah, I heard he actually is a somewhat well-known villain in the comics, but as someone who mostly follows the movies and the cartoons, I had no idea who he was. I know most of the major Spider-Man villains, but I had no idea who Mr. Negative was going into this. But I had heard a few things, so when I met Martin Lee in the homeless shelter in the game, okay, I figured out, okay, this guy is our villain. This guy is our antagonist. But there's so much more to it than that. And I will warn you, if you haven't played the game and you want to know the story, if you care about spoilers, don't continue. Wait until you've beaten the campaign or you watched it, because it is quite a surprise what happens in this campaign. And even if you do know, you can still enjoy it. But so you start off the game actually with Kingpin, a well-known villain. You bring down Kingpin, and Then you're taken to this homeless shelter where Aunt May works, um, and Peter comes. People there give Aunt May a surprise party, congratulate her on her all of her work well done. Martin Lee himself congratulates her because he actually owns the homeless shelter called Feast. Um, and initially, Martin Lee just like this the kind of likable, regular guy. And if you hadn't watched the trailers, you may be fooled. You may not, but it's easy to pick up. Okay, this guy's hiding something. This guy isn't all the way together. He's a little too together, a little too polite. There's something some negative. Get it? Negative energy that's below the surface that he's suppressing. And so early on, we have these demons. This gang of masked Chinese gangsters that work for Miss Negative. They're trying to actually bring down Norman Osborn. Norman Osborn is actually the mayor in this world. This is a totally different Spider-Man than we're used to in a lot of ways. Instead of Norman Osborn being the Green Goblin like he is usually in the comics, he's now the mayor of New York, surprisingly enough. And he's played very well. The acting in this game is so good for all the characters. It's really, really well done. It's a movie quality. It's top notch. So, and then at the beginning of the game, you're trying to discover who's the demons. The demons are basically trying to take over New York and the territory. They actually take down Wilson Fisk's command after Wilson Fisk, the Kingpin, gets put in prison by Spider-Man. The demons come in and basically take down his man. And as Spider-Man, you actually have to protect Wilson Fisk's men. And learn from Wilson Fisk who this new villain is, this new threat. And it's pretty interesting. Like, I didn't know anything about Mr. Negative before playing this story, but he's a pretty interesting character. Seems a little overpowered because his powers seem to be very convenient. It seems like he's a lot more powerful or he should be a lot more powerful than what he is. That'd be the only thing that I would maybe criticize about it. That he seems like he's treated as a threat that Spider-Man can definitely stop if he's as powerful as they say, or that his powers led you to believe. It seems like he would be a lot more OP. But regardless of that, in the game you're basically working to take down take him down, take down his demons, and also discover this secret plan they have called Devil's Breath, some unknown substance called Devil's Breath that they're planning on using against the city. And so you're working with this cop lady, Yuri Watanabe, trying to look for clues and discover what's going on. And along the way, you run into Mary Jane Watson, MJ, who is totally different. Now, this is also another thing that kind of threw me off, but over time I warmed up to it. That's the thing about this game. This game, it does curveballs at you that even if you're a Spider-Man fan, especially if you're a Spider-Man fan, you be like, what is this? Wait, really? Like, there's a few things that you make. At first, you're like, I don't know about this, but then after a while, you're like, oh, okay, I can see what they're doing. I like this. Mary Jane is a lot different in this game than she's typically portrayed. Usually, Mary Jane is the hot, popular chick that Peter meets in high school, who he later on gets a crush on. Then Mary Jane ends up warming up to him and falling for him and ditching the jock for the nerdy kid. Initially, it was usually Gwen Stacy that's more of the nerdy type that helps out Peter with the smarts and all that kind of stuff. At least that's how it's portrayed in most of the cartoons. Also in the movies, the Amazing Spider-Man movies, Gwen Stacy was that character, and it seemed like in this Spider-Man, Mary Jane's more that character. Her characterizations seem to be more in line to me with Gwen Stacy. Also Lois Lane, because she works as a reporter for Daily Bugle. Instead of that being Spider-Man, Spider-Man actually quit the Daily Bugle and works as an assistant for none other than Dr. Otto Octavius. That's right, Otto Octavius um, is Peter's boss and friend in this story, and that is a really important piece of this game. That if you wouldn't know anything about by just the trailers, because they kept that part pretty hidden pretty well. Um, Peter works as a lab assistant for Otto Octavius. While Mary Jane works at Daily Bugle as a journalist. And so it's a different sort of change of pace from how the characters are, and the relationship is a lot different. But you know what? After a while, think about it, I actually do really, really like this Mary Jane. This Mary Jane is more useful than what she was in, say, like the Tobey Maguire movies, where she was just the damsel, mostly just a pretty damsel in distress. And that was fine for what they were doing with those movies. But in this game, Mary Jane's more in the thick of it, actually helping out Peter, along with Yuri, the cop. And also, we have a big, big reveal of Miles Morales and his involvement in the story. His father being a police captain who's murdered by Mr. Negative, and then Miles ends up joining, helping out the homeless shelter, ends up helping out Peter and Spider-Man with this whole investigation. It's a really good origin story, and it's not until the very end, and if you hadn't known who Miles Morales was, you'd be surprised that at the very end he gets bitten by a spider. But it's handled so well. His origin he's put right in the story. He's interwoven in the story in a very smart, very careful, well-developed way. And I really, really appreciate that, because I hadn't watched the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon. The only cartoons I watched were the original animated series and the Spectacular Spider-Man and the new Spider-Man animated series. So I didn't really know much about Miles Morales. But this game gave me a great introduction to that character. This game's story is brought to life by exquisite, out-of-this-world graphics. I'm still really shocked by what the PS4 can do. I'm still just getting used to what the PS4 is capable of, and how lifelike and the motion capture, and how lifelike the expressions are on the characters' faces, and how real it looks. How cinematic it is. But it really brings the story to life, and the voice acting, especially Peter. I learned recently that the guy who voices Peter Parker in this actually voiced Sasuke in the English dub of Naruto. He is perfect as he's the best. I would go on a limb and say he's the best voice actor that we ever had for an animated Peter Parker, whether that's in the games or in the cartoons or anything. Like his voice that he gave was perfect for the role. The rest of the cast is great too. The story has a major twist, because in the beginning it's a little slow, but it's because it's kind of getting you used to the characters and kind of developing the threat, introducing Devil's Breath and introducing Mary Jane and Miles, and things do get pretty intense when Miles' father dies, as one of the first big moments. But then after a while it kind of dies down a little bit, and then you get a huge reveal of the Sinister Six. You put Mr. Negative away, you think that the threat is over with, and all of a sudden out of nowhere, he gets released along with Scorpion, Vulture, Rhino, Electro, and their leader is none other than Dr. Octopus, Doc Ock. So you spend all this time with Doc Ock, getting to know him, getting to know his sort of rivalry with Norman Osborn, and getting his relationship with Peter, and having, sympathize with him as a character who's struggling with physical disabilities, and while at the same time being a genius who's trying to, who has all these ambitions, and works with Peter, and him and Peter connect on this really deep level. And then I know we had this huge twist where it turns out Doc Ock is the villain of this, the real villain, who's actually controlling Mr. Negative and all the other villains. And it's perfect. This version of Doc Ock is one of the best. I mean, I still have a soft spot for Alfred Molina playing Doc Ock in Spider-Man 2. You know, that movie, that was a great villain. This is up there. It's hard to compare because they're slightly different interpretations, but this version of Doc Ock is also splendid. And his deep relationship with Peter is so emotional, especially at the end of the game when you have to fight him, and the two are just fighting for their lives, fighting with what they believe in, and there's just really intense moment where Peter's breaking down, saying, "I believed in you, I trusted you, Doctor. I looked up to you. You were my hero," and it's a really emotional moment that just broke me. There's actually several in this game, and it's brought by again the excellent graphics, excellent motion capture, excellent voiceover work. It's all really well done, and I can't compliment it enough. It's one of the better Spider-Man stories that I've seen, and that says a lot. But as for gameplay, now gameplay, like I said, initially I was skeptical because I'm like, okay, it looks cool, the trailers made everything look awesome, but I'm like, okay, I've already played several Spider-Man games. Is it really going to be any better? And short answer, yes, it's better. It's very similar if you played, Spider-Man 2, very similar. You get to free roam throughout New York. You can free roam throughout New York, and you have the main missions. You also have the side missions and the random crimes that will pop up, and also the extra activities like taking pictures of landmarks at the city, or collecting some of your old backpacks and your old sort of collage of stuff that you left throughout the city as like memories of when you were in high school, stuff like that. You can collect all sorts of stuff. There's extra challenges. There's little combat challenges and like stealth challenges that you can do, test your skills. There's all kinds of stuff scattered throughout the whole city, and unlike other games, after I beat the story, I actually wanted to get through I actually want to play through the side missions. That's a feat in and of itself. Even in Spider-Man 2, as much as I love that game, at a certain point, all the random crimes, constantly the same crimes over and over and over again, the same car chase over and over again. After a while, it got tiring. I would just kind of play through the story again to break the monotonous, tedious cycles of same crime over and over again. This game, you get a really good variety of random crimes will pop up, but you also have other challenges, kind of like in the Arkham games. We have those combat challenges and those stealth predator challenges. This game, you have similar challenges. You also have drone challenges where you have to chase a drone, and there's all kinds of side missions. A black cat. There's an Easter egg of Black Cat who left a bunch of little kittens for you to find. She left a little trail for you to find that you have to get. There's so much to do in this game, and it's all handled very well. Swinging never felt better. The best thing in any Spider-Man game pretty much is, since Spider-Man 2, has been the swinging. The swinging physics of Spider-Man 2 are revolutionary, and no one's ever been able to top it since then until this game. This game really brings swinging to life. It's so addicting. Just to swing through the city is so. I mean, I'm hooked. This game got me. I didn't think I was worried because at first, like I said, at the beginning I was kind of like, okay, I don't know how I feel about this game. Is it really as good as they say? But after swinging through the city for so long, after upgrading myself, the game is becoming both the swinging and the combat is immensely addicting. The combat is similar to the older Spider-Man games, also similar to the Arkham Batman games. It's like the best of both. It's really fun. There are a few things I wish you could do that you can't. You can only web one enemy at a time. I wish you could web two. That would have been cool. But webbing is still fun. You can web enemies. What's so convenient is you web enemies to different objects. If they're facing the wall, you can just web them. They'll stick to the wall, and you got them. They're done. It's a very convenient way to subdue enemies. It's so much fun. I love it. This game, it's like Jeremy John said in his review of the game. He gave way to a friend. He started feeling withdrawal. Like after I stopped playing Spider-Man, I feel like, okay, I could play this another hour or so because it's so fun. I actually want to play the DLC that's coming out at the end of October. You know, actually, I want to get the DLC. I didn't think I was, you know, but I think I actually will get the DLC for this game because it's so well done. You know, the extra costumes are so great. I love the Iron Spider-Man costume from the Avengers Infinity War movie. One of my favorite costumes. The basic advanced suit with the white spider on it, of course, is beautiful to look at. It's great. And there's also a bunch of other hidden costumes to get. There's all kinds of gear. My favorite gadget is a trip mine gadget where you attach a little booby trap onto like a wall, a little homing beacon, and if the enemy goes to it, there'll be a web will burst out of it and grab the enemy, and pull them into the wall, and web them up. It's such a cool, awesome gadget. Um, this game is filled with little goodies like that, and the presentation is so sublime. The graphics, the free roaming gameplay is the city looks beautiful. It looks so lifelike, more than it's ever looked before. So lifelike that I'm slightly disappointed by the fact that you can't go to the Statue of Liberty, like in Spider-Man 2. But whatever, I can forgive it when everything else is like so perfect, so much fun. This game, I was hesitant before to give this, but this game gets a 10 out of 10 for me. It's one of the better superhero games. It's one of the better superhero experiences that you can have. It's a deserving of Game of the Year for me. It's a dessert to me. I mean, even though we had God of War this year, we've had great games this year, but this is another great one. And I feel like it's special, more so than some of the other games, because it's Spider-Man, because it's this iconic hero, and who's so relatable and yet so much fun to play as, and so unique. And the fact that they took just a classic character who's already had so many games, so many similar games, and just perfected the core mechanics and really brought it to life, and still made a top-selling game out of this is great. I recommend this to anybody who loves Spider-Man, anybody who likes this good action games, who has a PS4. That's the only thing, if you don't have a PS4, I'm sorry, but this game is out of this world. I absolutely love it, adore it, will continue to play it for some time, and you check that as soon as you can. In other words, long story short, you have this thing right here. Sucks to be you. Thanks for watching my review. Adios.